Hi, and welcome to Psychic Today. I'm your host, Jill Roberts, and on today's episode, we're going to continue with the Crystalline Exploration series. We're going to talk about a couple of great stones. Now, in a previous episode, I had mentioned one of the recipes that I came up with for not just interdimensional travel, but for connecting with loved ones on the other side, and I believe I use Roswellite on my third eye and Spanish Aragonite on the heart chakra, as well as a stellar beam calcite in my left hand, which was my navigator, and a moldavite in my right. So tonight I want to talk about Roswellite, which is known as the sacred geometry stone. Robert Simmons actually encountered this stone in last fall's buying trip, and they had never came across this stone before. It's from an area far more famous for UFOs than it is for stones. The stones are called Roswellite, and they're six-sided pseudomorphs of dolomite after aragonite. This means that dolomite has replaced the aragonite crystal clusters that comprise the original formations. These stones that have literally evolved from one species to another. So just in that itself, kind of makes these stones extra, not, I wouldn't say terrestrial, but the fact that they have replaced a stone. So pseudomorphs are not all that common. So a lot of times you'll find, pyrite after marcasite or something to that degree, but to have dolomite after aragonite is extremely rare. So in addition, their crystalline bodies are like nothing you've ever seen before. The basic pattern is that of a hexagon or a six-pointed star. However, they are much more complex than each specimen displays portions of other hexagons which interpenetrate the main crystal. So you have a six-pointed star or a hexagon, and in the middle there is also another hexagon. So it's a hexagon within a hexagon. So the sacred geometry here is off the charts. Some, have a few secondary forms, while others have many. The more one looks at them, the more fascinating they do become. Of course, another aspect of the mystique of Roswellites is the place of their discovery, Roswell, New Mexico. And that's the site of the earliest and most extraordinary UFO incidents in American history, which occurred in July of 1947. There are reams of lore about this event, including reports of crashed ships with alien occupants. It is interesting to note that whatever happened in Roswell occurred during an intense solar storm. And this may have affected many things, including the perceptions of witnesses, but it also changed the landscape, so to speak. The effects may have been the heightening of perceptions rather than the production of hallucinations. Robert Simmons wrote, quote, "It is tempting to dive deep into this tale of Roswell incident, but we are only going to approach it from the perspective of trying to comprehend the nature of the unique Roswellite stones. By many accounts, the Roswell area contains powerful energy vortices, and these may be related to both the observed UFO phenomena there and the unusual stones, which apparently are only found in a place called Cottonwood Draw, near Roswell. So the Roswellites have this sparkling surface texture, and they're composed of crystallized sand, held together by another material, perhaps the dolomite. When researching the Roswell UFO event, looking to see whether there might be some connection to these stones, there's a fascinating quote describing the appearance of plants and quote-unquote crystallized sand near the UFO debris field. Quote, "The plants and scrub brush growing along the periphery of the glass-like sand and gravel are not so much burnt or scorched as they are more or less trying to return to their natural growth stage after being severely wilted, apparently from whatever crystallized the sand 2 months earlier. And end quote. So it's kind of like, in the sense of fulgurite, where the lightning hits the sand and it becomes a crystallized tube. This time, it was something other that hit the sand and made these stones, which are very high vibrational, to say the least. So, we don't know when or how the Roswellite stones were formed, but the similarity of the description to the appearance of the stone surfaces is really intriguing. The visionary psychologist Carl Jung believed that the UFO phenomenon was psychoid in nature, something occurring in the overlap between the physical and the spiritual realms. Psychoid events are numerous, spiritually charged, with a feeling of mysterious presence. In general, UFO experiences carry this feeling of numinosity, which we might understand as an expansion of our perceptions to encompass other dimensions of reality, such as the psychoid realm, which are not normally within our perception range. I believe that there are experiences of stone energies that are psychoid events. And this is why the relationship with these stones feels so spiritually significant. When we feel the vibrational currents of a stone, we are perceiving in a realm of subtle matter energy, which we could call the spiritual realm. So if you want to put all this together in a few ideas. One, Roswell is an energy vortex area, making it a place where expansion of human perception can happen. It could be an area like the ones of sacred geometry, like Stonehenge in England, or the pyramids in Egypt, a sacred site. And it's definitely become a sacred site to a lot of people. So, we're most likely to perceive other dimensional phenomena there, such as UFOs. There's also in the Uinta Basin something called the Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know if you are familiar with it. Actually, Eric Pepin and the Higher Balance Institute is about to do an expedition out there. And they're using some of us back home to do remote viewing and remote influence to help them while they're out there, because at Skinwalker Ranch there's just the culmination of so many different types of phenomena. You could anywhere from UFOs to poltergeist events to, Bigfoot, to seeing someone come out of a huge portal, to lights, and it's just not one type of phenomena. It's not just a UFO. It's not just, there's cattle mutilations, there's animal mutilations that, show up out of nowhere with no blood on the ground, and everything is clean and precise. It's very, very strange and can be very scary to a lot of people. But these places, like Roswell and Skinwalker Ranch, they have some sort of other dimensional phenomena going on there. So here you have these stones that were created from an event, in 1947. So there is something special about them. There is something other about them. Two, this kind of high vibration environment may resonate particularly strongly with cosmic phenomena such as solar storms, which release huge amounts of energy. Thus, the effect of such storms on the subtle energy levels of the vortex sites could be magnified. So there's, magnification of this solar storm that is now affecting the land and creating crystallized stones. And these stones carry that energy, carry the otherness, carry, all of it in its being. Another idea is, such storms occur relatively frequently, Their vibrational effects, including the thinning of the interdimensional veils, may have occurred repeatedly over the years. So since 1947, they've been more solar storms, and the more that they hit, the more the veil thins between this dimension and the next. The energetic effects of these events may affect such processes as the formation of minerals in this area. This might be why we come upon these strange mineral formations only in the Roswell area. Minerals carry a memory of the conditions of their own growth process. Thus, the unusual and powerful energies of Roswellite may have to do with the history of the unique energetic environment of Roswell. So here's, just a few thoughts, what the stones themselves are and, what are their energies. Roswellites emanate currents that expand consciousness, period. I've used them, and I can tell you for myself, they do. When I held one to my third eye, there was this pulsating, that came on, and it just got stronger and stronger. I removed the stone and then opened my eyes, and I experienced something very similar to what Robert Simmons experienced, which is, kind of a very subtle shift of perception. It's almost like going in between, which is something of that's taught by the Higher Balance Institute, where you kind of go in between the two dimensions, where you're still here in the physical with your eyes open, and you can see something. It's almost like looking at one of those pictures where if you're up close, it looks just all pixelated or like dots, and if you step away, you can see it come into focus. It's something like that, but it's where at the pixelated point where you can kind of go in between. So that's what I mean by my subtle shift of perception. But I seem to see deeper into the world around me, and the physical world appeared to be slightly translucent. Kind of like if a film was concealed and a deeper reality was being presented to me. And this is, of course, after I opened my eyes, not while I was connecting with a loved one when I used the Roswellite in the recipe. So this is just the Roswellite on my third eye when I was taking it in after I did the heart attunement and I activated it for myself, and I put it there because it just seemed to make sense to put Roswellite at the third eye energy center for me. So, it makes everyday reality seem like there's so much more beyond the surface. It was, of course, an amazing experience, and it seems clear to me that, we can all take it, more than one step further. Roswellites, can facilitate interdimensional awareness and travel, like the other calcites I had mentioned. And I'm doing a lot on this because it seems to me that I'm coming in contact with a lot of trademark stones that are designated for interdimensional travel. So I'm going with it. I'm going with what's being presented to me as a light worker, as a shaman, as an evidential medium, as, just all the things that I've been taught, whether it's ancient Indian or, Peruvian or whatever the case may be. When you meditate with one of these stones for a sufficient amount of time, one may see a multitude of dimensional tunnels opening up before one's inner sight. Following any of these tunnels can lead to encounters with beings and events in other dimensions. Such experiences can include meetings with angelic guides and extraterrestrials, as well as much farther out kind of experiences and encounters with souls of planets, stars, and galaxies. You could get in touch with your Starseed family. You can channel with these stones and, have extraordinary beings come in. As long as you are grounded and you're inviting it in through your physical body and your energy centers. And I will do an episode on how to channel as well. It's been long said that the inner universe is formed according to the patterns known as sacred geometry, which is thus why we use sacred geometry in crystal gridding. Perhaps the most famous of these patterns is what's called the flower of life. When we look closely at the hexagonal forms of Roswellite, we can see a resonance with that of the universal pattern. And the interdimensional openings one can access through Roswellite appear to our inner vision as geometric corridors of light. Furthermore, the flower of life depicts all of these dimensional corridors are linked and intertwined with one another. Thus, Roswellites are highly charged embodiments of sacred geometry, which facilitates our access to the inner domains in which the geometries of light display themselves. These stones are powerful talismans for those who wish to explore these luminous inner domains. Making a hexagonal energy grid with 6 Roswellites will be an amazing way to create a vortex of light and heightened awareness wherever one wishes. Even more complex grids with more of these stones could further enhance interdimensional access and the thinning of the veil of our outer reality. Even using a single Roswellite as the anchor stone in a grid of high vibrational stones can create a powerful high energy environment influence. Now, these stones are quite expensive. So to do, if you think about it, they're about $200 each. To do one with 6, you'd have to have a lot of extra money lying around. But definitely, if you want to engage in this type of work, I would definitely invest in one, at least. Because they really, truly are amazing. In spiritual healing work, I recommend using them for issues having to do with the brain and consciousness. If one feels kind of blocked in terms of higher perception or having a problem quieting down the chatter in their mind when they're trying to meditate, this stone can help to clear these types of blockages. Roswellites, they resonate with the prefrontal cortex of the brain, also known as angel lobes, and they can facilitate the activation of special capacities that lie dormant there. These are stones of whole brain activation, and they can help those who wish to switch on their latent abilities, their clear abilities. It's the synchronization of the right and left hemispheres of the brain. When such shifts occur, you can experience paranormal events if you want to. Some people are very into paranormal activities and some aren't. I can go either way. I've had many paranormal experiences and they've been wonderful. And, sometimes it's just not something I'm looking to do. And when I mean paranormal, I'm not talking about when I connect with a client or one of my loved ones from the other side. I'm not talking about being in touch with my team of spirit guides or angels or something like that. I'm talking about, beings from other dimensions or new beings that I have not channeled or been introduced to yet, so to speak. So, they are great for the whole brain activation, and they're great to open up, psychic development. Just be sure that your environment is safe and supportive, and remember to remain centered in the heart. The heart has the wisdom that allows one to hold one's clarity through any situation, particularly in the awakening of new perceptual capacities. Roswellite resonates very well with the extraterrestrial stones of Moldavite, Agni-magnetite, Libyan gold techite, and Tibetan techite. It also works synergistically with the interdimensional stone phenakite and with other high vibrational stones such as danburite, naturalite, brookite, beryllonite, Lemurian light crystals, and all of the Ancestral-lights. However, Roswellites have a very special resonance with Spanish Aragonites, which is why I had Spanish Aragonite in my recipe. So I'm going to take a break and I'll be right back to talk about Roswellite with the Spanish Aragonites.
Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had so many questions, like how do I record an episode? Where do I find background music? How to get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places people like to listen? Where do I find advertisers? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing, and monetizing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and 100% ridiculously easy to use. Literally, it's a push of the button. I can't express how easy it is to get your content out there, because as podcasters, we have a tough enough time dealing with our content, let alone dealing with technology and the confusion of paying to have it done. With Anchor, it's free and it's easy. And that's the most important thing, because I care about content. I want my content out to you. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, go to anchor.fm/start. That's ANCHOR.FM/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
And welcome back. Now we're going to talk about not only Roswellite, but how well Roswellite interacts with Spanish Aragonites. It may be because Roswellite stones can remember their previous incarnation as Aragonites before they metamorphosed into dolomite, but whatever the reason, Roswellites work exceedingly well with Spanish Aragonites. Spanish Aragonites are column-shaped crystals of reddish and gray-green aragonite and are found only in Spain. These Aragonites emanate much higher and more powerful energies than any other variety of Aragonite, and are the only Aragonites carrying the Ascension energies. Their resonance with Roswellite comes with this high vibrational level. So when using Roswellite and Spanish Aragonite together, it's ideal to place the Roswellite at the third eye and the Spanish Aragonite at the crown chakra. In my recipe, I placed it in the heart chakra because I needed a heart chakra stone, and so I placed it there, but you can place it on the crown. So you have the Roswellite at third eye and the crown, the Spanish Aragonite. And this is for the greatest possible power between these two stones. Okay, and it worked pretty darn well for me with it at the heart chakra. So you can just imagine what it's like when you put it at the crown chakra, which is the seventh energy center. So it allows them to work synergistically for the activation of one's higher capacities, whether that's clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairgustance, claircognizance, whatever it is. These capacities include, of course, also interdimensional travel and communication, astral travel, and other abilities for which we don't have even names for. When these stones are used together, they facilitate the activation of the body of light, and they aid in direct communication with other beings on the spiritual level. This can include plants, animals, other people, as well as spiritual entities. For those who are truly explorers of consciousness, I cannot recommend this highly enough. For the benefit of everyone, I want to talk about how Robert Simmons describes Spanish Aragonite in his Book of Stones. What he says is Spanish Aragonite is the most highly energetic form of Aragonite. It stimulates the third eye and the crown chakras very powerfully and allows one to attune with the frequencies of the etheric chakras above the head. Spanish Aragonite has the unique capacity to step down the vibrations of the supra-physical or etheric centers so that one can link with them. This facilitates connection with the higher frequency domains such as the angelic realm. One of the strengths of Spanish Aragonite is its ability to help us connect empathically with animals, so it's highly recommended for those working with animal communications. So, of course, if you're looking to get in touch with a medium, or if you want to try it yourself, if you have an animal in spirit that you want to communicate with, this is definitely a stone to work with. All right, so then, on a deeper level, we have Spanish Aragonite, where it's, encourages you to link with the living world. Working with this stone in meditation, or, carrying it with you throughout the day, can sensitize one's energy field to the subtle currents of operating beneath the visible surface of things and events. Perceptions are experienced as participations. One recognizes its own creating activity and creating activity of the world. Such experiences being recognition of an intimate involvement with all that one perceives and engenders the sense of life in everything. It's almost as if you're mindful of the fact that you're carrying the stone, or you have it in your hand, in your pocket, and you're walking around. It's almost kind of like you see what's there that optically our brain can't comprehend because we don't have anything to relate it to. So Spanish Aragonite can help pull down the veil, so to speak, of what's really around us as well, that we just don't see. It carries potential life force currents. With most stones, these currents enter from below through the root chakra. In the case of Spanish Aragonite, though, the energies come in through the crown chakra, so they come in from above instead of below. The life force entering us through this portal is involved with the infusion of light of the light body into the physical form, as well as regeneration of the organism. Spanish Aragonite brings a great feeling of peace into the cellular consciousness of the body. And this is where the empathy comes in. It fills the cells with pulsating, living currents of energy, and then encourages all levels of the body, including the etheric, to release into the universal wholeness all coalesce negative identifications. When we identify with some experience or feeling of difficulty, a negative pattern coalesces. Aragonite, as it spreads its higher realm vibration through our body, dissolves these patterns if we are prepared to accept it. Many of the high vibrational stones have been linked to the vibrational ascension process. An old misunderstanding of ascension is the idea that it takes one up and out, away from the realm of earth. Spanish Aragonite's ability to bring powerful energies of spiritual light down into the body and to the earth from higher frequency domains demonstrates the real meaning of ascension. We're not going out there for it. It's already in us. And Spanish Aragonite brings that light into our physical bodies. So again, when I talk about these stones that I work with, a lot of them have physical effects, not just effects that you see in your mind's eye or something that you hear in your thoughts. This is physical, whether it's vibrations and pulsations, but this is bringing physical light into the body. And so when you're channeling, this is what you want. You know, the energy comes in through the seventh energy chakra, and it, you know, is brought down through all of these chakras, through our meridians. And you connect, but you have to, you know, concentrate on your breath. Do something to, you know, make sure you're grounded, that you're not then, you know, putting your consciousness out there to other realms. You want it to come into you. And this is what Spanish Aragonite does. So this is the opposite of what the old idea of the Ascension process is. When we incarnate as souls, we've chosen to enter the density of matter. And here we are very dense and heavy and thick. The ultimate purpose of the infusion of all matter with spiritual light through our own intentions and actions. This is both ascension and the wedding of heaven and earth. What is below joins what is above, and it's an alchemical union that is fulfilled with the divine plan. So, you know, we've before we've even come into this high density matter, we've prepared for it. And it's just a matter of remembering. And a lot of time we don't have references to certain things, and it's kind of like we feel like we're walking around with blinders on, and we're not. We just have to take the time to quiet down and work with certain things like these types of stones to help us through the ascension process. When we focus, you know, on incorporating high vibrations into our physical selves, we're working in unity with this purpose. Spanish Aragonite is a great and powerful facilitator of this process. Some of the potential effects of this unfoldment include healing, wholeness, enlightenment, and immortality for ourselves and the earth. One can sometimes feel a strong quality of a potent, unknown future potential when one holds and attunes to this stone. It is resonant with the idea of carrying the memory of the future, and it is strongly linked to the manifestation of that unknown potential in the world. Spanish Aragonite carries the pattern of the Earth's highest destiny, and ours as well. It can aid in envisioning that destiny and seeing at least some distance into the coming events that will contribute to that unfolding. You know, the first task of Spanish Aragonite is to trigger and aid in the transfiguration of the human body into the body of light. However, you know, its ray is transparent and invisible, so its radiance is one that is felt rather than seen, even inwardly. And a lot of people have problems with that. If they can't see it, they don't believe it. And that correlates to channeling as well. You know, there's never going to be physical evidence, so to speak, unless you are a clairvoyant, where you can see things with your physical eyes, not just in your mind's eye. And then thus having to prove that is very hard, because you're seeing it doesn't mean a video camera will. So again, some people have a problem with, you know, it being transparent and invisible, but its radiance is just beyond amazing. It links us to what is known as the midnight sun in the heart, and is in resonance as well with the being sometimes known as the Black Madonna. This attunement is accentuated if one uses a stone such as Master Shamanite, which is a stone of deep realms. The stone and the being of the stone are devoted to nourishing and protecting the feminine hidden in exile in the darkness of matter. Spanish Aragonite is a very powerful and beneficial stone in its own right, and it is ideally an ally for the awakening and transformation which the Roswellite stones can engender. So using these two stones together can create such an amazing experience, both physically and emotionally and spiritually, that if you have the two or you're thinking about getting them, I would definitely get them, because working with them in conjunction can help with the awakening process. It can help with Kundalini activation. It can help with so many other things, so many different illnesses, physical illnesses, but mostly, for ascension and bringing down, they say, as above, so below, and as below, so above. Well, you're actually bringing above below, and that's where heaven and earth meet. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Psychic Today. I'm doing this long crystalline exploration series because it is very dear to my heart, and it's something that I work with on a daily basis. So I'll be, I have plenty of recipes and plenty of stones I want to talk about. If there is a stone that you'd like me to talk about, please don't hesitate to contact me at info@psychicmediumnyc.com. That's my email. Again, that's info@psychicmediumnyc.com. You can also visit my blog at psychicmediumnewyorkcity.com or my services at psychicmediumnyc.com. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'm sending you all my love and light.